Afternoon. It's 5 o'clock on February 4th, 2026.
Call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Unknown participant is now joining.
772-555-398 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording.
Are you guys hearing that?
Yes, she was calling in to Miss Berenborg, who's driving.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Oh, okay.
Continue on, Amy. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Like I said, good afternoon. It's 5 o'clock on February 4th, 2026, and this is the NAACP SDIRC Workgroup meeting. I'm not sure if everyone has joined yet, but we have some new faces attending tonight's meeting, and I wanted to take a brief minute to have our new attendees introduce themselves. I do not see anybody other than Ms. Johnson and Ms. Haraveld on the NAACP side. Is that correct? Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, let's give them a couple minutes to join.
Because we do have a hard stop at 6.
And just for everyone who's on and is new, Mr. Heiser is just on because he's broadcasting in our auditorium as it's a publicly noticed meeting. So that's why you see his name up there. Yeah. And then Miss Berenborg is sounds like she's driving in a hurricane.
Sorry.
But she is on the speakerphone driving over and will join us in this office as soon as she gets through the Indian River traffic.
Yes, thank you. Hi, all. I talked to the NAACP, and something has blocked me from forwarding the invite to them. So I don't know if you sent it, Kira, but I now see in my spam that I didn't have authority to forward the invitation to them. Is it possible?
I think it's probably because you're external. So I would copy and paste it, and I would copy and paste it into however you normally communicate. And it will still work. It will maintain the integrity of the link.
Okay. So just copy and paste, because I had just forwarded them the invitation. Okay.
Hey, what? Forward? You're in.
It says it was not accepted due to the domain's DMARC policy.
Email,
I think that may be something on your filter.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, we haven't had a problem.
Get
with
on to you in the office, please.
Oh, actually, it's now, I'm looking, it's that the recipient's email provider, google.com, rejected it. It couldn't get sent to a Gmail. Weird. Okay. Well, now we know. Haven't had this problem before, though.
They're on the same websites or same.
A little strange because I have an external email as well, so.
I don't believe their email addresses have changed, and the Teams links normally work.
For those that are watching online, we're just working on some connectivity issues for our partners. I see Miss Green. Good afternoon, Miss Green. Hello, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, evening, whatever.
I think we're waiting on
Denise and Michonne
and
is
Mr.
on.
Browning.
Denise was trying to get on. Dr. Smith, she was, we were conversing back and forth because none of us had the link.
So as soon as I seen her join, I'll go ahead and let her in.
I'm texting her now to see where it's.
We want to get started as they try to get online just with some introductions because there's some new faces on our call.
Sure thing.
She's trying to get in now. I have on the phone.
Okay.
Did you get it?
I haven't seen her pop up as being in the meeting yet.
Mine did that for a minute and then it decided I ain't right. You in? She's getting something that says someone will let you in.
Go to people, maybe we're not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't see her in the waiting room.
Either.
She's gonna restart. We can go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to start. It's actually we're a little bit later than we were before. I wanted to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is now not 5 o'clock. Now it's 5:12. And we have some new faces in attending the meeting. And so I wanted to have us introduce ourselves, and I'll start since I just called meeting to order. My name is Amy Enval with Sniffen and Harmon, and I serve as a school board attorney. Matt Carson, who previously represented the school board, he's moved firms. And so though I've had a chance to review the 2018 joint plan and applicable documents, I understand that I'm coming into this process a little bit late. So I appreciate your patience as I learn how you've all been working and fully grasp the depth into which you all have approached each of these KPIs and the associated documentation. And I was actually able to attend an introductory meeting with attorneys Haraveld and Johnson, and I'd like to turn it over to them to introduce their faces and or if they have new roles.
I can start. Hi, everyone. I'm probably a new face here as well. Like Amy, I am a very new joiner. My name is Tisha Johnson. I'm a partner at Baker McKenzie. I'm based in Washington, D.C. I represent the NAACP in this matter, and I'm looking forward to working with you all on this. Short and sweet. Let's move on.
That's good.
Those are all the new faces.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So next on our agenda is the status of the mediation for KPI 2.8, which is section 2 on mentoring. It's my understanding that we proposed dates back in May of 2025 that we were still waiting on proposed dates from the NAACP. I want to start that process again so we can move forward.
I think that we need to just like come to or kind of have a level set with our availability. So do you all want to propose dates for February or March? I think March is probably best at this point.
We can propose dates for March. I would defer to the superintendent because we have spring break and I'm not sure what's going on in his calendar.
If we want to use the same dates we proposed for our March work group meeting, we could schedule before or after that.
Okay. So in March, I think we proposed the 4th and the 18th. Is that correct? The 4th and the 18th? So we could start with those 2 dates.
Tony and Mershawn, I defer to you guys.
I'm checking now. March 14th, she says.
The 4th, I'm sorry, there was the 4th and the 8th.
That's just it.
4th and the 18th, my fault.
You said March the 4th and the 8th?
4th and the 18th.
Oh, okay. So I don't see any problem as of now. Ms. Green?
I'm gonna check the maps.
Does it make sense to just reconvene and get back to you promptly on this, or do we need to decide right now?
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure we actually discussed that. So, and I
Okay.
don't see Miss Green. I haven't heard her and I don't see her on the camera. So I don't know if her camera is not working, but I just want to make sure she can hear us and she's here.
I see her on the screen.
Yeah.
Here she is.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
Excellent.
having technical issues. I told the team, so my camera is not going to come on. Otherwise, I'll get kicked off the call.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I think that's maybe that's something the attorneys, we can go back and forth because we've done the 4th and the 18th. And as long as that works for you all, at least we can propose those dates for mediation.
Let me just make sure it works with Mr. Knox as well,
Yes.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you hung up.
Okay. So let's go ahead. We have a short period of time now that we started so late. Since our last meeting on November 4th, we've had an additional request for data related to KPI 8.8 and KPI 8.9, to which we responded. And we'll start with KPI 8.8. And just so y'all know what it says, the district shall ensure that the duration of daily student transportation is non-discriminatory. And I wanted to give Dr. Shafty an opportunity to go over the response and the data provided related to this KPI.
For what we were finding with transportation, which we've made note of in that matrix that we've been working back and forth on, is that some of the exhibits have duplicity for the KPI. So we referenced which exhibit folders may have some overlap and then the naming protocol associated with it. We included for 8.8 our parent handbook because it outlines the expectations and the provisions the district provides students, all eligible students for transportation, whether it's their home zone school or their bus stop location. It has walking distance criteria and that parameters for their designated depot stop locations, as since we're a full choice district. We covered the fact that students residing within a 2-mile radius of the school they attend are not eligible for bus transportation. And then there are some rulemaking citations in there that we found to be helpful as a reference, which is also in the transportation handbook. It provides guidance for us on routes and schedules, as well as minimum distances and just some guidelines that Ms. Idolette follows. We follow those rules. The exhibits are limited because we follow the rules. We would have an exhibit to show if we were sanctioned for not following them. So the absence of an exhibit is equally as important. We provided a link to the rulemaking as it can be a little bit tedious.
So can we stop for a moment, Dr. Shafty? So in the last discussion, you all said that you would work with Ms. Eilert to get the information because we emphasize that the desegregation order focuses on African American students and the absence of some type of penalty it's not evidence that you all are complying with it. It basically just shows that maybe someone did not complain to the right authorities or however. So we're looking to have data broken down by race that helps us exactly what our KPI asked for and what we're here to do. And that's to see if, if we look at white students and black students, and okay, yeah, so it shows that yes, it's across the board, but we don't know that if we don't have the data that gives us the racial breakdown. So are you saying that you don't have the data and so we should just vote that there was insufficient data for us to determine if that KPI was met or not?
In working with Ms. Idolette, we've provided all the data we have. We have the bus duration by route and tier for every stop. And then we have all of the exhibits by school location, race, count of students using choice, and percentage of students using choice transportation and zone transportation.
So, but to directly respond to Rashawn's question, I don't think there's any additional data that we're able to provide. In our review of that data, I think it satisfies the request. So yes, Rashawn, I think at this point we can vote without the addition of that requested data that we just simply don't have.
Okay, because we were asking about the data, the duration of the routes based off race, because that's really it's one of the areas that in the civil rights that have been filed discusses race, right? Like African American students are on the bus an average of 30 minutes longer than white students, that type of stuff. So that's extremely important that we have that, and you're saying that we don't.
I'm saying the way that the data is captured and the criteria that's applied to all students satisfies that request. They're not assigned by race. Any student who is not participating in their home school or being transported to their home school is making a choice to attend a different school in which transportation is provided above and beyond, although it be at a depot stop. So given the reality of Indian River County and the number of schools that we have and the small, geographically, we're not necessarily super small, but where we are condensed in terms of neighborhood schools, the volume of bus stops that we have and the information that we provided, I am comfortable, and I do understand exactly what you're asking for. I do. We just don't have it. But the application of the practice is clearly defined in terms of all children are assigned the bus the same way. And the only indicator as to why one child would be on it for a longer period of time is simply the route in which it runs. In terms of I live further away from the school on the outs of the neighborhood zone in comparison to a student who lives 2.1 miles away. That would be the only factor. And that has nothing to do with race and everything to do with where a child actually lives.
So previously I had stated that, just because a process is non-discriminatory on its face does not guarantee that it is not discriminatory in its effect. And not saying that that's the case with your process. All I'm saying is without the data to look at the duration, we don't know if it is or isn't.
I completely understand.
So for instance, before you, they were picking up ESC kids at 5 o'clock in the morning, and those ESC kids were riding the bus for an hour and a half.
Where's this?
Got to school. That's what was happening in the district, which is why Stacey Clem ran for school board, because she had experienced that as well as some other parents. And so So even with their policy, if you looked at their policy, though, there was nothing discriminatory about their policy. However, ESC kids were put at a disadvantage. Why? I do not know. But that's the whole point of us asking for the duration data.
Leadership, and I'll respond to that, but it doesn't necessarily give you the validation that you're asking for. That design was changed. So a EBD program in prior years, right before me, was at one particular school, and the example that you just gave is 100% accurate. You had to go drive across town and pass 2 other schools, including your home school, if that's where that specific disability was being taught. We have shifted to a varying exceptionality model and provide levels of support based on the IEP to all children at their home school, and only our most medically fragile, severe disabilities, WABASO, a special needs specialized center, would be an example of that. They are not transported. So not associated with this KPI, but that practice isn't something that we do anymore. We want to, and Stacy, right? Well, Stacy, plan, yeah. No, I, you know, she wanted exactly. I hope she watches this. How was it? Yeah, but she checks in on with us a number of times, and she reaches out to me. And this is the model that she was advocating for 6 years ago.
If I may, Michonne wanted clarification as to policy versus the outcomes. So you're telling us this is a DSEG work group. We're working with a DSEG order or the remnants of it, however you see it. How does the PDF and the information included is evidence that the duration of the daily student transportation is non-discriminatory, because you have not focused on color. It's arbitrary. They're students, but shouldn't there be? I think we asked Mrs. Idolet, is there any way by their tags or that student could be identified by color? And I think her response was no. So how do we just arbitrarily say we can live with this when the data does not support it?
Well, let me go backwards and then go forward. Because the practice is non-discriminatory in terms of how it is applied. I get the information that you're asking for. Hold on, let Denise in. The data isn't within the system in which it is created. We would have to create it. I think when we go back 2 years and we look at the actual KPIs, and speaking of this KPI and other KPIs, as we collectively agreed on what those KPIs, as we discussed this specific one, I was like, absolutely include it, because the practice itself is only going to validate that we don't assign students transportation based on race. And then I go back to the actual joint plan, and what we're actually assessing and creating the KPIs to assess, in my mind, and you all may not agree with me, this is a superseding some of the requirements within the joint plan. It's an over and beyond KPI. And I distinctly remember having those kinds of conversations, because we wanted to get to the space where it just wasn't about the desegregation order. It was about moving beyond the desegregation order and then making recommendations and suggestions and conversations about shifts or change within the organization to move way beyond it. But if you were to drill down and just, we were being minimalist. I have a thing in my mouth. That's why words sound weird. I'm sorry. I think Rashawn had it. I had what Rashawn had at our last meeting in November. What we're assessing, it was the continuation, right? What's actually in the plan? What is the actual KPI asked for?
So how is this KPI superseding the joint plan?
Duration of daily students.
Right.
Joint plan?
Yeah.
Joint plan?
What says we should do.
The joint plan has the school district will continue to operate under the requirements of the 1967 order, which requirements were not changed by the 1994 order with respect to transportation, which mandates that 1, no student shall be segregated or discriminated against on account of race or color in any service, activity, or program, including transportation, and 2, that where transportation is generally provided, buses must be routed to the maximum extent feasible in light of the geographic distribution of students, so as to serve students assigned in accordance with the provisions of this plan.
So and looking at that specifically, I think that's why it supersedes or goes beyond it. I think the evidence provided both within this and other ones, other indicators, addresses at that level, we've surely met that particular standard. So
how, but this is the thing, Dr. Moore, how do we know that it says that no student shall be discriminated against? How do we know that if we're not getting the data broken down by race, right? Like, how do we know that? Like you say, yeah, our policy, our blanket policy does not discriminate. Well, how do we know that? I mean, maybe your wording is not discriminatory. We can agree to that your wording of your policy is not discriminatory, but the actual effect, we don't know without the data broken down by race. And so what we're being asked to do today is agree, just based off the wording itself, that it's not discriminatory, not based off the actual results, right? Because we don't have the data to see the results.
It's who's going to be fine. Who's going to do that? And then, so maybe a better plan of action is to say, okay, this indicator, which is one of many, not enough available. I don't think we can vote today anyway because there's not an even number. That's what within the norms, I guess, because Kevin's not here, so we can't vote. We can't vote anyway. So when he is, we or one of us is absent. With what is provided, we can vote. So maybe we go on to the next one, because I mean,
before we go, Dr. Moore, I would add that the policy and all of that, as Mashawn spoke, but administratively from your perspective, but looking at it granularly, the district may take a second look at what we're trying to say. Not that what you have in writing is not relevant, but the effects and the outcomes we see as boots on the ground is not conducive to us voting in the affirmative.
I know, I clearly understand the dilemma that you are stating. I honestly do. It's articulated very well. I understand it. I simply don't have it. So, and the discourse is I don't have it to provide. I believe what I provided does meet the intent of what was in place. So I don't know how I can get that information.
So just to confirm, so you don't have the length of time spent on the bus by race. That's not that's not available for you to provide to us.
That is not a query or a document in which I can put my hands on, or Dr. Shep can put her hands on, or Ms. Eileth can put her hands on.
We have the unique sources, but it would need to be reviewed by this work group. We have the duration by route by stop number, and then we have the students riding the bus.
Yeah, I think you gave us the duration by route. We just didn't know, the makeup of each route, to be able to decipher that. I think that's what it was. And what we learned was that each driver does have the students who are on their bus and what time they get on the bus. So within the route, they do have that information. I guess that's just too much work to provide, maybe.
So it sounds like, to be clear, you have the data. You could get to the point of providing length of time on the bus by race. You have the actual data. It's just not currently in
we
a
don't have
form.
we
It's
don't
not
have-
current.
We have an isolated subset, so we have the route sheets for every
Mhm.
stop by
Mhm.
street number, by the time the driver arrives, departs. That's an isolated document.
Yep.
Then year over year for survey 3, we have to report to the state
good.
ridership. So we have ridership by race, by location, by choice, by zone. That's a separate report. What we don't have is something other than the members of this work group to triangulate the impacts of one data set against the bus duration data set.
Understood, but it could be done. So is it possible for us to get both of those sets of data?
You have them.
So
Amy,
we
you're-
have, so
You-
the set A would be the bus routes.
Mhm.
And set B has the students by race.
So just to be clear, if we were to compare these, they are from the same exact universe. So they would be the same number of student to number of students. So because what I understand is we have the ridership by race, but we cannot assign those students to what bus route they're taking. So if
Yeah.
we personally don't have the information to assign that student to the bus route, I don't understand how we could compare those data sets. That seems to me like something that the district would be able to do.
You respond?
I don't know. I don't know that we can.
Other than going manually one by one?
The systems, we have a student information system that we can absolutely triangulate things. These data sources come from other places. The IEP state system is a different system. The FTE reporting system is a different system. So when it's in our student information system, we have the ability to triangulate into a dashboard. What you're asking for, we just don't have the capability to provide, if I'm picturing in my mind a spreadsheet, here is student, here is race, here is address, here's stop number, here's route number, something like that does not exist in a single data source.
Dr. Shafty, does the student's bus pass identify them by race?
They have a student ID, but no, it doesn't.
Does the ID identify them by race?
No, it's their phone.
It's a phone ID, but I guess if you put the student ID number in there to bring up whatever their information is.
So it would have their information, but within that information is not,
I don't think routes live in focus.
right.
Yeah.
And
Routes
that's-
don't live in
that's
there.
how-
The bus stop lives in there. The length of time does not live in there. And that really is the key indicator. That's the information in which we do not have in any system is within the flow of stops, the length of time.
And the other
I'm
factor is
just,
choose the school.
because I know if you go to my Anthony Brown student and you go to my information, I can be, if there's a blue E on the top right-hand corner, what does that mean? That identifies me as an exceptionality or disability. So if I'm getting on the bus in Fellsmere, then my bus pass would identify me at that bus stop, correct?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, necessarily. Once you put the address information in the website for the school district website, that produces what route they ride. It's a whole separate system to identify through their address what route they ride.
And I'm looking at it because, Dr. Moore, you and I, we've been here the longest, along with Mashawn. We go back to the joint plan. We don't want to get down the road and come back with what we shoulda, coulda, oughta, mighta. We want to dot the I's, cross the T's, and be able to live with them But if we go without the data and make decisions when we know that the process may be well intended, but the outcomes we know are not sufficient. So we're in a crazy situation to just say, okay, your process looks good, it's all well and good, but does it benefit kids of color, preferably African American students? That's where we're caught. We have to be.
Go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Doc.
No, I understand what you're saying, and trust me, it's my assumption because neither of us have the data. Because students live in Gifford, they live in South Oslo. Those who participate in transportation are very, very tight-knit neighborhoods, right? So I think the data would be extremely favorable versus living out in the farms where you're further away from the school. So my assumption is, the data would look very, very good. And the only place that it wouldn't look good would be the area in Gifford in which students were transported to Sebastian. But we just shifted that zone so those kids have the opportunity, if they so choose, to be transported or walk to Dodgertown, which is right down their neighborhood. So if there is a way to access the data that says, here it is, because I am extremely confident the data would give us the validation that you all are hoping for, and I know is there.
And I just, with something you said, I'm throwing this out because it's a conversation some of us in the community have had. Based on that premise, it appears in looking at Dodgertown, that mindset, that process may revert us back to segregated schools if we go under that formula where, neighborhood schools, a rose by any other name is still a rose. But it's just something that we're watching, that just looking at Dodgertown, if you said certain parts of Gifford that goes to Sebastian, that would be the 49th Street corridor, i.e. Victory Park, Orangewood, Taylor Point, the trailer park, and those areas. That would still have them traveling, whether they have IEPs or whatever. It's a crazy process, and it's incumbent upon our attorneys and us as part of this work group to put that on the table so it don't come back next month, next year, 3 years from now and slap us in the face what we should have, could have, ought or might have done. That's
right. And you are correct, but I think in front of all of that is the simple reality as we walk into next school year, probably more than a third of our students are participating in choice. And to be confined to one school because it's the closest to your neighborhood or because it's in a specific zone is something that we abandoned the minute that I got here. What drives the selection of your school that a family selects should be the fit, should be the relationship with the staff and the theme of the particular school. So within that, which is now I even want the data even more, because then you have to add another darn filter, which would be choice. Like, oh my gosh, this is discriminatory. Look at, and I'll use this as an example, the percent of Black students who are being transported to IRA or being transported to, I don't know, pick a school, Oslo. But it's not a problem because they chose it. That's a third of our students in the entire system. So even the data set that we're problem solving around may be skewed in nature. So and this is what, you have a desegregation order that is so darn old. The reality of public education doesn't fit in so many different components of this current plan. It is what it is.
Well,
So,
just,
I mean, I hate saying it. I hate saying it because Ms. Idolette is swamped. We just hired 2 weeks ago 6 bus drivers. We just trained another 3 bus drivers. Half of her darn folks are driving buses, and their job is to be fixing buses to get kids home on time. But I don't know, other than sitting here at night with 3 different charts, now 4, to create this data, how I would do it.
well, Dr. Moore, you were put in a precarious predicament. See, I'm a living version of all of this process, and the process was established that it would be painful for some people, and in that era, it was mostly painful to African American students who had to be bused everywhere. Now it's coming around. We want to show the disparities. We want to show the ineptness of it. We want to show that if it's discriminatory, and this process has to be fine-tuned. And when we just arbitrarily, well, it's not good. Segregation wasn't good. Segregation is still not good. And what we're doing now, and you can put it in your toolbox, I think what? Help me if I'm wrong, Dr. Shafter, you may know the numbers. Dodgertown is what, probably around 70% African American, or it's in excess of 50%, I know. So what are we looking at?
I can tell you the count of riders at Dodgertown by race.
He was at an overall population.
I'm seeing the ridership, we can go back and forth in it, but as we was doing this KPI, we're looking at it granularly because it has, as Mashawn started the conversation, your process may be pure, but from where we sit, your outcome appears to be discriminatory, but yet you do not have the data for us to say yay or nay. You've admitted you don't have it. You have the possibility of acquiring it, but for us to represent our community and our student population, this is the data that we need. This is the information we need to make sound decisions. Even though you say the VSEG is old and antiquated, it's the best thing since chocolate candy for some of us who are people of color.
Yeah, because had not been for the GSEG, we would not have had any of the progress that we've had. And let's be honest, like there's still major issues.
I mean, in terms of being a unified school system, I think we are a shining example, not based on opinion, based on outcome, based on what I observe in our schools. Every community has issues. The point I was trying to make is we're so far beyond from a systems perspective and how we offer education. And we have a plan that was designed to evaluate a unified school system based on a way of work that it was one way. It was neighborhood schools. And this district created different zones to have a better balance of students across the totality of schools. So we're going to bus kids to this school and that school simply because they are of color. That was a long time ago. Now you don't have to do that. You get to choose. In front of that is the option as to why you get to choose. You're not confined or stuck to one particular school. I mean, choice is blown up nationally, specifically in Florida. And that's one of the root causes as to why. Don't tell me where I have to educate my kid and provide me one singular option. I mean, we're in the position, there's a lot of reasons why. One of the reasons that we are, I mean, Martin County just lost 500 kids. St. Lucie just lost 500 kids. Martin lost 300 kids. We gained 156 because we're providing more choice. And the quality of education, this is recording and it's true, is better as well. So given the time, I clearly understand what you're asking for, and I clearly understand the dilemma that you're having.
That we're having? The
You're-
dilemma we're having?
As to why you can't make a decision because you don't have the information that you're requesting. That's your dilemma, is that you're asking us to evaluate this specific KPI. Yet the data that says the amount of time kids are on a bus is not broken down by color and race, and that would be the most accurate way to make the decision. I think that's what we're talking about. I say on top of that, I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
You do track which student gets on which bus, right? Which student is on which route?
Yes. But not by stop on the route. And then we have it in, I think that's the challenging part, is we have the data in isolated pieces. So for example, the enrollment at Dodgertown is 56.8% Black, 14.4% white, 21.2% Hispanic. We have to understand the enrollment to then look at the average distance for school by students that use transportation. Going back to Dodgertown, if you look, the average distance, the race with the longest average distance by school at Dodgertown is white at 4.6. But if you look at that in isolation, you're going to come to an incorrect conclusion, because you have to look at the students enrolled, the percentage of the students enrolled by race who use transportation, and then we're able to provide you average distance by schools for students with transportation by race, by location.
Average distance by school for students with transportation. It was 3.7. What does that mean? So how is this not answering their question?
It's not by student.
It's by groups of students,
By
correct?
groups.
Well, would groups of students though, by race, help you understand this?
I'm about to try to make a case for that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll win, but I am about to try to make a case for that. So at Beachland, it is equivalent. Well,
So you can go school by school.
We can go, yeah.
So why don't we do that?
well, it's lower at Dodgertown compared to Hispanic. If someone's trying to talk, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is Denise. Good evening, everyone. I was having problems with my Teams, but quick question. Dr. Shaffer, you said that you don't do it by the bus stop, that for each student to know what their race is. What about the FTE? Like
FTE just we have to prove ridership. So the fact that the student is registered for the bus, FTE pulls on ridership, but not to the granular level of the stop. But that's in there. So in survey 3, we have to report transportation ridership for funding purposes. And then year over year, I think dating back to 2017, we have the survey 3 ridership exact report that we submit to the state. If you visualize it, every school is in alpha order on the left. Across the columns are choice ridership by race, zoned ridership by race, total student counts. So you could see this percentage of students that use transportation are this race, whether zoned or choice.
So what I will proffer, and we all have this data, is the average distance by school for students by race, in terms of the average miles the Black students at the school ride in comparison to the Hispanic students other students and white students, and overall, the overall average.
So point of clarification, if you don't have the information of which stops the students are getting on, how did you create this average distance by school for students? How did you create this table? It's if you don't know what stop they're getting on, and so you don't know how long they're on the bus.
Because the length of time, this is probably from their address, it's like as the crow flies, right? So it's gonna be my house from here, well, that's not a good example, because it's two turns, but Dr. Shafty, you know, from a straight line from here to her house is 4 miles, but it's 7 miles for her to be there. It doesn't answer, it may be 3.7, but you have 4 other stops, or in some, it may be, you know, you go a little bit further. So in terms of, this is simply looking at the addresses. So the data points are black students, white students, whatever students, address, and then
So it doesn't relate to them taking the buses. It's the distance from their house to the school.
It's correct, of the students who are on transportation. So it does give you a very strong indication. How far do black students, white students, Hispanic students live from the school? And therefore you can deduce, that sounded weird too, the amount of time that they would be on the bus. So if you were to look at, you know, Dodgertown, the students who are transported live 1.8 miles within the 2 miles. Hispanic 3.2. The average is 2.5. If you whatever, that's a charter school. They don't comply. Liberty Magnet. See, I wouldn't count Liberty Magnet because everyone's choosing to go there. But I'll read it. It's 7 miles for black students, 6.4 for Hispanic, 5.2. The average is 5.9. So what I would do is let me give this to Dr. McMahon and ask him to give me, based on what he sees here, what would be his analysis, almost like a research brief to see if that research brief, based on the mathematics to create this, gives you a better level of comfort on whether this KPI can be, I mean, the closer you live to the school, the less time you're on the bus. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And, you look at Pelican Island as an example. Black students are the furthest average from house. They're 4.2 miles, but Hispanic is 2.9. Overall average is 3.5. So on average, they don't go there.
But that's a full choice school now.
That's
It's
stole
phasing anyway.
my thunder. I would have to go back and say, take out the students who are choosing into that school. Let's look at one of the high schools. Sebastian River Middle is 6.5 for black students, 4.8 for Hispanic, average overall 4.6. And I would have to take out choice. I've lost Vero Beach, 3.9, Hispanic, 3.6, 3.8 white, 4.2 white, I'm sorry. Other was 3.8, average 3.9. So the data is very telling, even though it's not specific in terms of the length of time, but I think it's a pretty fair deduction in terms of, I mean, if anything, I'm gonna be honest. What?
Can I ask a quick question? I know I'm the new person on the block, so please bear with me here. But just to be clear, what you don't have is the data that says what student is getting on the bus at what stop. So you don't know whether Tisha Johnson is getting on the bus at stop A, stop B, or stop C. Is that correct?
So we know where students get on and off the bus, yes. But we know, as the crow flies, the distance that the school is that they're being transported to in relationship to their house. And I'll verify that particular. What we do not have is what 4.2, if it's not as the crow flies, what's the length of time that specifically is.
But you do know the routes. So we could figure out the time, right?
Because whenever we do assign a kid to a bus transportation, say the AM route is 6:55, the PM 2:10. They know specifically what time to pick them up. They know exactly what time they're supposed to be at that stop.
So I'm not trying to argue with myself because you're on my team. But you got to be at that bus stop 10 minutes, 15 minutes early, and don't get too mad if it's 10 minutes late. That's just the standard practice across the nation. So I have my PTA presidents down. I'm gonna go greet them and let them problem solve with me. Oh shoot, where are they?
AGC.
Oh, okay. Well,
All right,
I'll be
Jason,
down there.
It is 6:01, and so we did have a hard stop, and we didn't. I think our conversation is very productive, and I appreciate the back and forth. I just don't know that an hour is long enough to get through all of these things, because we are only stuck at 8.8. We still were supposed to do 8.9 and 8.12 and 8.14, and I just don't know what the solution is. I don't know.
Well,
Open to any other suggestions.
well, one would be when we walk into this, I think the district said it will shall ensure that the information we requested will be their district agreed to go back and get information and present it, but when we don't have relative and pertinent information to make these decisions with, we get caught in these situations. You know, we could have gone longer. I'm looking at, and Ms. Johnson brought it up, and Mr. Hart, it was about defining that kid of color. But if you were doing a threat assessment and an incident occurred, and you would need to know what students were on that bus at each particular stop, so that you could identify who was or was not on that bus. And it's similar to what we're asking, but we're asking for it by race. And it's just with all the new modernization and AI and all of this stuff, and you're having them scan to get on the buses, and you have all these data sets, and you have the dashboards and all of this stuff. But this is pertinent for us because it's a DSEG thing. And go ahead.
I'm sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying, it's like we want to make the decisions, and I know there's a way to bring this information.
Informed decisions, right? And that's the issue, like voting on something and saying, yeah, you've met it, when you don't really have the data to efficiently assess it. Like he was saying with the distance from the school does not necessarily mean that that child only went that distance to get to the school. As I stated before, there are instances where kids get on the bus at one stop and the bus doesn't go directly to the school. There are other areas that they go pick up before going to the school. So that doesn't adequately show us, this is the distance from the school that we have by race. Because we're looking at duration as well.
So what I'm trying to figure out, and again, apologies, and I know we're over time, is what data is actually available versus the data that's available, but it's really difficult to put together. I think there are two separate issues here. One is the data available at all, and two, if that data is available, can we get it? Or are you saying that the data absolutely does not exist and there's no way, by any stretch of the imagination, to put the information together? Or are you just saying it exists, it's just hard?
No, we don't. We believe, and as our stance, we have provided everything that exists related to transportation. What we don't What we don't have that you're seeking is the qualifier of duration. We can tell you a student rides the bus. We can tell you the demographics of the student that rides the bus. We can tell you the count of riders at a bus stop. We can probably tell you which specific student gets on at the bus stop as well, and then know the race of that student.
That's what we
But
need.
But what we can't qualify unless you use it against the route sheets is time.
Right, but we need that piece of information. What student is getting on the bus by race at what stop? Because then, why can't we get that piece of information? Sorry, Marshawn, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
This is the one meeting our director of transportation couldn't attend, so we will ask her.
This is
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to ask her, she's going to be able to respond since she can attend, so.
We will follow up on our end and share it with Ms. Envo.
Okay.
And Dr. Shafty, I think Dr. Smith brought something to the table. If you reference a lot of it around that FTE, you might, where those dollars go, so does the mind. So that might be an easier way to acquire this information using where the money comes from. And I like the idea of that FTE being a area where you could do it. So
I would agree with you
thought.
100%. I think the conversation is so important because ridership and FTE is on a time period. So it would be important if we can provide that, and I think we can, that is membership during a window of time that if we were to pull the raw data of, I'm thinking you have a spreadsheet of in our information system of ridership as of today, that count could be and probably is fundamentally different than FTE.
So in other words, do you want a snapshot of time? That's what she's asking. That's what FTE does.
I think definitely what we want is what I mentioned before. We want that sort of the raw data because I think that would be helpful. Tony, I don't know if there's something in addition we want to that.
No, I'm looking at it, Johnny. I was just using the FTE because normally it's easier to track money. But if Johnny gets on the bus at stop A, he's African American. Johnny rides that bus how long till he reaches a school?
That wouldn't be generated in FTE. I understand what you're asking for, but FTE is purely, does Johnny ride the bus?
Well, I'm just saying, I referenced it with most times, if you follow the money, you can come up with conclusions. That I was being somewhat facetious, so that's my joke for today.
Yeah, it's like Tisha said, if you have the raw information, that's, we can make we can try to look at the comparisons in advance of the next work group and move more quickly.
Yes.
Okay, we'll follow up.
Alrighty.
So I don't think we're going to get to 8.9. So I think we're going to have to push 8.9 and 8.12 and 8.14 to our next meeting, which happens to be on our agenda. I'm going to skip through number 3, which was the continuation of voting, because I don't think we're at that point yet. We had already provided the dates for March 4th and March 18th. And I know we have to also do the mediation dates. So did you, I don't know what else to do besides we need to set our next meeting, and maybe we need to have it longer than the hour. I mean, I hate to say that, but I also think that, I don't know, like we've offered to go through the data ahead of time, if that would help. I want to make that offer again, like we used to do. Do we want to set the meeting on the 4th or the 18th? Or I think mediation is just as important as having our next meeting date too.
So two things. The first thing is that our community asked us to go through the data publicly, just because they have a vested interest in this and they want to hear what we're discussing and understand what is happening. And then the second thing is Kevin is out of the area. So like one, we need those links to the meeting at least 2 days in advance so that his time difference and internet and everything so that he can be in these meetings. And then we also have to get with him to see when he's available as well. If he's in a different time zone than us.
And why is it that it's at the last moment we get the links? Is that for security reasons or, I mean?
No, we sent the links out when we scheduled the meeting. I don't know what happened between now and then. There was some, because the links work fine. I was an external person and the links worked fine for me, but I think Ms. Haraveld was having a hard time sending it instead of copying and paste it. So we've had the links were available. I just don't know why you didn't get them ahead of time.
Yeah, I think in this instance, there seems to be a technical problem that we can avoid moving forward. But previously we were getting the links like a couple hours in advance. The district did send out the links very much in advance this time. But we will make sure to just copy and paste the link. I have no idea why it didn't forward. But we will, I mean, we know that March 4th and March 18th are available, so we can confirm on our end. And perhaps that could be 1 day for mediation and 1 day for the work group meeting. Hopefully that works. We just have to confirm on our end, but we'll get back to you promptly.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, the longer it takes us to schedule, the longer it takes us to create the link and send. I mean, it's a very quick process, but we have to make sure we agree on the agenda, and I'd rather do it well in advance so we can all have it on our calendar and be ready to go than waiting. So we start almost 15 minutes late today.
So we have community meetings happening in Gifford, Tony and I, and they're also on Wednesday. So I don't know how well the Wednesdays are going to work for us. Could you also give like some Tuesday availability?
So I know Mondays won't work because we have school board meetings.
Right,
I have to, Dr. Moore's schedule is going to have, he has a lot more on his schedule that's into the evenings than I would say probably a lot of us. So again, we can certainly provide some more meetings perhaps on a Tuesday as well for consideration. And I could just work with Adrienne and Tisha on those. And hopefully we can do that quickly. Mershawn, I appreciate your input. I do though.
Thank you.
Well, I think we've come to our end, our natural end anywhere. We really wish we would have gotten more done, but I think it was productive. I appreciated the discussion back and forth and the questions. I think we're kind of all on the same page. It's just this particular KPI is hard to specifically gather because we just don't have the information that talks to each other. So is there anything else that you all think we need to cover, or do you think we're good?
We're good.
Okay. Well, seeing nothing else, this is adjourned and we will see you for sure next month.